I'd woken up without any clothes on and I was really confused at what had happened. I know that I started off having sex with him, but then I remember saying no and that I didn't want to do it without a condom, and he just did it anyway. As the kind of days and weeks went past, I started getting flashbacks of how he'd kind of like tried to put it elsewhere. I remember saying to him, I don't remember us having sex. And yeah, he was like, well, I didn't rape you if that's what you're accusing me of. And that's when I remember, like, is it rape? Like, is this a sexual assault or a rape? I couldn't tell. I was accused of just being dramatic. I was then blamed for not saying no more forcefully, and a family member even said, like, I put myself in that position because I'd chosen to have casual sex. I only remembered this on the train, like, after it happened to me. I was in year 6. There was a group of us in the girls' room just sitting around talking, and we were talking about getting older and being adults, and I remember this girl saying that she hopes that she grows up ugly because it means that she'll never get raped. That's when I realised it's been something that's a part of our lives since we've been children. We've been raised to not be raped. Afterwards, I felt so paranoid. If I had something that was like too close fitting to my body, or if I even looked at someone a little bit too long, are they seeing that as an invitation? It made me feel like I wasn't even in a position to do SCA stuff. Like, I wasn't even sure what it was, and I wasn't even sure of my own feelings, so how could I be there for other people? Sorry, I'm gonna cry. What should have happened was they should have said, I believe you. I could have decided to minimise opportunity. I could have decided I won't have casual sex, or I won't go to that house party, or I won't drink. But he could have also decided not to rape me. The yes or no dichotomy is so harmful because I said yes, and then I said no. But because I'd said yes initially, and suddenly my no didn't count, the media and attitudes about it just don't explore the intricacies of what consent is. And that leaves people like me and thousands of other people feeling ignored and unheard and told that they're being dramatic. You know, consent is not the absence of no. Consent is it's enthusiasm. It's genuinely being, like, wanting that experience. I think it's so important to fill the survey out and get involved with the student voice, because the students can do amazing things when they're dedicated, and the university and the union have to listen to hundreds and hopefully later on thousands of students who are calling for better policy, better procedure, better awareness and differing attitudes about this situation. My message to survivors would be how you live your life. That's all in your control. Like, no one can tell you what you should be doing or what you have to do, because control has been taken away from you. So it's okay to claim that back and not have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't have to justify the decisions you make in your life. With my assault, it really empowered me to go out and use that experience to help other people. The students, like SCA, the university, the union, like, we hear you and we see you, and we want to make this change for you. So get involved, use your voice, make that change.